Okay, well, hello, and welcome to the 5 Things the Second Screen Mobile Industry is Getting Wrong webinar. I'm Kiri McLernan. I'm super excited to be here. First off, I will tell you just a smidge about myself. I am a business development architect with AppSend. We're a mobile development platform company, and I'm actually just super interested in the second screen and learning all about it and finding the best ways to develop mobile applications for it that will be the most successful at having the best ROI for either broadcasters or television networks or channels, and also just driving the highest amount of engagement for our viewers. So that's where my interests lie. That's what my title is, and I hope you enjoy the presentation about 5 things the second screen mobile industry is getting wrong. All right, a little bit of housekeeping. The webinar is going to be recorded and available online afterwards at secondscreenapps.com. And you can also interact with us on Twitter at #SecondScreenMistakes. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them there, and we'll get to them afterwards. So you can ask them there, or you can just ask them in the chat panel here, and I'll see them either way. All right, so let's just get right to it. So the first mistake that I think the second screen mobile industry is making is recreating social media. It comes down to it's something old and nothing new. It truly encapsulates this first mistake. So many networks and broadcasters are pushing social TV as the future of companion apps, but they're hardly using any of their innovative powers to do so. What we end up with is the second screen industry constantly reinventing Twitter and Facebook and other social media. People are perfectly happy using Twitter and Facebook, so why are we asking people to download an entirely new app to continue doing what they were happily doing on their own? It's just not the revolutionary second screen experience that's going to motivate viewers to download the app and become more engaged with the TV shows that they're watching. So I do admit that Twitter is very important. This graph from Nielsen shows that there is a correlation between the number of tweets during the live show and ratings increases. So it's necessary to encourage people to tweet and self-promote the show, but don't make the mistake of having Twitter or social app walls about the show be the central focus of the application. Integration is key here. You need more than just social media or social TV as your stick and carrot to motivate viewers to download your app. So other social media is important as well. I've got a few stats up here which highlight exactly how much people are sharing on social media, such as 37% of 18 to 24-year-olds share something about a show on social media. And these numbers are huge and they're really important, and it's really great news. So people are constantly having discussions about shows. So the obvious problem, therefore, is not to get people to talk about the shows on social media, but to provide a motivation to download and interact with your companion application. And this is something that social TV apps are struggling to offer right now. So, what does this mean? We're already addicted to social media and our second screens, which is great news for engagement for our shows. It's clear we do need to have social media integrated into the second screen, but trust me, people don't need to be reminded to post to an in-app wall or to tweet every second they watch TV. As I said, we're already addicted and we're already doing it. A gentle nudge now and again, like prompting a hashtag, has proven itself to be successful and will probably be all you need to encourage interaction in social media. So you need to offer enough alternative benefits to your app so that people will choose your app as a vehicle for social interaction, because otherwise, they're just going to hop on to Twitter and Facebook. There's really no point for them to hop on to your specific application in order to share their social interactions. So social media is important for ratings, and you can see increased engagement and brand opinion when people interact on social media during shows. But without providing other features, you are fostering an environment of one-way interaction only between the viewer and the show. The users can talk and share and tweet all they like, but they receive little to nothing back from what they're watching, which wastes potential for engagement. But we'll dig further into that later on in the webinar. So, yes, social TV is important, and it has a place in your application. But let's stop making it the centerpiece of the show. Once you break free of the standard and begin to explore what your viewers really want, you might be surprised by what opportunities for your business, whether you be a network or a broadcaster or the creator of an individual show, what opportunities lie for your company behind and beyond that wall. So let's kick this habit by integrating social TV instead of highlighting it. And that, I think, is the first mistake that we're making. It's one of the biggest and most pervasive mistakes that we're seeing in the industry today. So, mistake number 2 is in-your-face advertising. So what I want to do is I want to start this segment with some powerful numbers. A study conducted for the Pew Internet and American Life Project with a sample of over 2,000 U.S. adults found that nearly 40% of adults use their smartphones to keep themselves occupied during advertising breaks or other pauses. Another study by Deloitte showed that over 50% of adults use their smartphones to keep themselves occupied during commercial breaks. People are getting onto their second screen to avoid the advertisement being shown on the first. Forcing viewers to watch ads on a companion app can alienate somewhere around half of your potential app user base if they're going to their apps, or if they're going to your app to avoid the advertisements on the first screen. So, hold on, you might say, but we have seen study after study about how people are more receptive to ads while using a second device. So how do we create enough ROI? What about the data that shows people use their devices to look up ads they've seen on the screen? And finally, how will I monetize the app if I don't use advertising? Now, I am not saying that we should not advertise at all in second screen apps, merely that traditional advertising doesn't necessarily fly on the second screen. So I want to explore this a little bit more. Let's focus on how second screen users are spending their time on their smartphones and on their tablets. So what are they doing? They are learning about actors and actresses, they're learning about shows or movies, and they're shopping for products. They're doing all of these things, and it's about discovering content related to what they're watching. So each of these second screen habits has a myriad of ways to integrate advertising, so it appears as part of the app's natural environment rather than a pop-up or a pre- and mid-roll video ad. So some groups, such as the 19% of people who say they've searched for a product when they saw the offer on the first screen, that offers a huge potential for second screen apps in particular, which can facilitate the exploration of interests in products shown on the first screen. Exciting prospect, yes, but we can't just have the app's content be focused on extra ad content. Again, there must be that extra motivation which makes people initially download and then return to the app. And ad exploration is probably not it. So there are ways we need to integrate it into the app's features, such as subtle prompts and the ability to quickly and easily find products and services shown on the first screen within the second screen app. All right, so opportunities for advertising on the second screen are more diverse than the opportunities on the first, so we really need to be creative. Each of the actions from the chart on the last slide have plenty of ways in which we can target the users naturally while they participate in in-app activities without being interrupted by in-your-face ads. So you know that you can collect any kind of data when people sign up for the app, either by asking for certain info or by having people connect with social media, and that way you have this amazing host of information on each user. So using that data, whatever you have decided to collect, your ads can be highly targeted compared to the more generic reach of the first screen ads. This makes it easier to provide ad content that the second screen user will actually be interested in, and in doing so, you exact a higher level of message effectiveness and gain more ROI. So next, let's just have an example of creative and underused idea to give a starting base of things that are underused and in the second screen. So what I've put out here is idea seeding. This is an underused concept which will have huge impact on a viewer's exposure to ads that actually interest them. The concept of idea seeding is meant to appeal to the viewers who are using the second screen to discover more information about the actors or are looking for extra content, even those who shop based on what they see on the first screen. So what you should do is present ideas on the first screen that inspire the viewers to follow up on the second screen. Enable them to follow up on their interests really easily. Make your app the easiest way to follow up on those interests, so that way it's the first thing that they're going to go to find that extra bit of info about that actor, that actress, or that product. So they follow up with content that aligns with content on the first screen. But now comes the important part. There are ways that you can track what users are doing within your app, and you can track where their clicks are going and what they're looking at and what they're interested in. And then you create a unique environment that constantly fosters discovery of content and information. This way you provide each individual viewer with ads that you know will interest them based on their actual clicking within the app. So this is a really great concept that we can use. And we already use it by tracking what users search, what people search for on websites and how they search on the internet. But what we haven't really done yet is applied this concept to mobile applications. And it is now a possibility because there's been some new technology. We couldn't always have done this, but now we can do this, and it's a fantastic way to provide people who are using a second screen app with ads that will actually interest them. So in-app ads are, yes, they're okay, and they're a really great way to drive ROI, especially once you highly segment your audience based on data that you collect about them and by tracking how they interact with the application. But you just want to make sure that you integrate the ads with the natural setting of the application. Don't force your users to idly sit and watch an ad. Odds are they're fleeing the ads on the first screen. So give them a chance to play, learn, and interact with the brands and products. Offer them something in return for logging into the app, such as free music downloads or special offers and prizes when they start to explore those advertisements so that they've either seen on the first screen or they've been encouraged to explore on the second screen. We cannot continue expecting viewers to show the same passive consumer behavior they used to have when watching the first screen. So you have to be creative and find new ways to present your advertisements. And you'll find that people will be more engaged with the ads on the second screen than they will be with the ads on the first. So that is mistake number 2, is those in-your-face ads that are adhering to the old standard of that first screen TV, and we're just going to force you to watch an ad. Instead, we need to be creative and come up with new ways that are interactive and engaging to present ads to our users. All right, next up is our definition of interactivity. So, interactivity is a two-way street. Just having your viewers tweet at the show and use promoted hashtags or share content on Facebook or write on an app wall does not make your show an interactive experience. You have to give something to get something, and what you could be getting is increased viewer satisfaction because they feel included and heard when they see their actions have an impact, that their actions in the second screen, and they'll be happier, satisfied, and more engaged when they see the results of their actions on the second screen showing up on the first. So, how can we best accomplish this? Oftentimes, there's a couple ways. Oftentimes, actors from TV shows are encouraged to tweet back at fans so they can feel connected, included, and special. But what if we could integrate experiences like this into the second screen? I think that a great example of this was in the Got Talent franchise for Romania. So in this app, if users wanted to support their favorite contestant, they would send shout-outs to them while they were on stage performing. And the people who were using the app would instantly be rewarded by having a video where the contestant would thank the user or the viewer for giving them a shout-out. Although the video is clearly a generic thank you, it is still providing some feedback and a level of thanks for the viewer's participation in the show and for their support. This is not only completing the two-way street needed for successful interaction between a show and the viewers, it is also providing a deeper emotional connection to the favorite contestants. So I thought this was a really great way to really drive a two-way interaction. The viewer gives something, they send the shout-out, and they're immediately rewarded with a thank you. And there are plenty of different ways we can do that. So When developing a second screen, we really need to ensure that the viewer can see the results of their actions in a positive way to foster positive feelings towards the shows they are watching. People feel good about themselves when they're able to share those positive messages with the people that they're watching on the first screen. So if someone's watching either a football game or something like that, and they just throw American football, they throw a fantastic pass, and then they want to be able to share with that player that they're super excited and they're so happy for their team that they've thrown that amazing pass. And if they receive something back from that, like any kind of thank you, then they feel very good about themselves. So that feeling is only increased with social validation of the messages they send. Remember, this is not the same as social TV, because the validation they are receiving comes from the show itself or the characters or the players, not the other viewers. And I think this one's a really important point, that you really have to consider that interaction is not just a one-way street. It needs to be two ways, and you really need to have feedback for each of the viewers, whether it's in showing the results of their polls on the first screen, or whether it's having the characters and the people on the first screen have some way of giving a thanks for their support. All right, on to number 4, failing to enhance the story. I want to start this section with a simple question. Why are your viewers watching the first screen? Your viewers are probably watching because they have an emotional investment in the show, curiosity, or they want to connect to the world. Anything in a companion app which is not adding to or enhancing that emotional investment in the story is not beneficial to your viewer and does little to encourage the viewer to participate, and will probably end up simply distracting that viewer from the first screen. Now, this is a really interesting dilemma, one which recently a major US network has struggled with and seemingly given up on the second screen because they found that the content they were offering distracted from the story instead of enhancing it. My first thought upon reading the executive statement was that their approach kind of seemed to be, well, we tried one thing for the second screen, it distracted people, it wasn't great, so we don't think this will ever work. This approach seems to be quite short-sighted to me. In a world where about over 80% of people are using second screens while they're watching the first, you really can't count it out as a way to capture people's attentions and engagement. You really need to focus on it. So this is a real-life example of not taking the time to understand what content the viewers want to see and how to present it with timing that will not distract the viewers. The consequence of not taking this into account is a distracting and unengaging experience, as well as lost opportunity for ROI. So, we're faced with the challenge of how best to integrate content across all screens and to best appeal to the habits and wants of our viewers to create the most engaging experience. So, we've got to engage our viewers in the story. So we need to complement and enhance the content on the first screen by providing interactive, unique, and creative content on the second. In doing this, we'll create a stronger bond with viewers and heighten brand engagement for both networks and broadcasters and individual shows, and with also, which is the key point, with the advertisers. So take what engages your viewers most and offer them more of that experience within the app. This is something simple that we can see is overlooked in a lot of companion applications today. The focus for companion apps has been on providing TV schedules, ratings, show suggestions, shows on demand, and especially social TV. All of these provide value in their own way and are all very important, but it overlooks what could be achieved if they engage the viewers on a more intense level. There's a PwC ThinkBox payback study which indicated that the more engaged a viewer is with a program, the more favorable they are to the brands which supported the program. So while the prospect of creating an app to just enhance storytelling may not immediately cause you to think of a high ROI, the benefit will come more subtly with more viewer immersion and appeal, as well as higher brand penetration and especially credibility for integrated ads. So are your users watching a show that involves voting or crowd participation, add to their perceptions of the story by letting them become a member of the studio audience and bring them closer to the show. Do your drama viewers want to learn more about the characters in their favorite shows? There's so many ways you can engage them more. You could give detailed character descriptions or provide additional content such as extra videos providing special Easter eggs or deep content that is only accessible through the app. So, for example, say you've got someone who is into this big drama, and maybe you can entice them deeper into the plot by revealing the contents of the steamy love letter you didn't show on screen. As with advertising, companion applications offer you the ability to offer more to your viewers than ever before. So give your viewers more of what they want and engage them more deeply in what's shown on the first screen by enhancing the story on the second. This strategy will lead not only to repeat use of your app, but to increased ROI. Remember, if it is natural and fun, your users will feel engaged on both screens, in addition to giving you 2 chances to catch their eye with your advertisements. So I find that this is a really important point, and it's often just definitely overlooked, especially when you're looking at the social TV aspect. You're just not engaging people on the same level that you will if you're offering that extra content that they're looking for. And it just gives you such a good opportunity for increased return on investment. So definitely you have to engage the users. You have to know what they're looking for and what they're going to be interested in. All right, on to our 5th and our final mistake, which is choosing generality over complexity. And this is one that has been I've kind of touched on in each of the previous 4 mistakes, but I really want to focus on it more specifically. So the question comes down to, do you actually have to decide? A common fallacy when people are thinking about creating their second screen applications is that you must choose between developing a generic application that can be applied to all the shows provided by a network or channel, or that you can develop a complex application for just one show, which will become defunct after a short period of time, thus rendering it not worth the high investment of time and money and effort to develop, because eventually it's going to become defunct and it's basically worthless. So this has encouraged a lot of networks to partner with products like ZBox or GetGlue or generic social TV applications, which offer much, much less by way of individual, unique, engaging, or exciting experiences. Sure, they allow users to interact with each other, but they do not exactly encourage interaction with the shows themselves and are relatively devoid of unique experiences that create story enhancement and emotional enhancement for the show, which, as I mentioned before, then drives brand opinion and then drives up ROI. This again shows us thinking within the bounds of the industry that the industry seems to have set, and leaving us blind to what new innovations in technology for applications can now offer, things that we couldn't have even imagined a couple of years ago or even a year ago now. So, the curtain's open. Cloud technology, our game changer. This is more than just a buzzword. So, up until recently, even I thought that cloud technology, sure, it can do a lot of really amazing stuff, but it's kind of a side thing, a little toy that you can play with and add some cool features and some cool ideas with, but you can't really increase the actual viewer's experience through the cloud. However, with the realization of how the cloud infrastructure aligns with the needs of second screen apps, my opinion began to change. So, why is this? It's because with cloud technology, you don't have to choose between feature-rich and complex applicability. So, you can utilize the best of both worlds between the general and the complex applications. With the right platform, utilizing the cloud in the right way, you can have instant user experience updates. So this gives you the ability to create multiple user experiences in one application, which can be changed based on different triggers, such as time or audio fingerprinting, to show relevant and exciting content. For example, say you have a comedy show that ends at 8 p.m., and then, say, the baseball game comes on. The app experience can completely be changed on a trigger, such as 8 p.m., And the user is now presented with an app that is wholly customized to the baseball lover's wants and needs. Say everything switches from just having information about the actors and a little bit about the show, some fun trivia, something engaging about the story, and then it completely changes the entire setup, makeup, and interactive features of the application. And the viewer is now presented with a more baseball-oriented application. Say it's got lots of stats everywhere. You can do replays of certain plays that happen in the game, and there's a whole bunch of different things that you can integrate and completely pretty much present the viewer with an entirely different application, but it's all within one individual app. So this would have been an impossibility before we've built the technology to utilize the cloud in the correct way, as every change in the user experience would have had to undergo resubmission to the app stores, which would be a process that takes 7 to 10 days, not to mention a whole bunch of developing changes. So instant user experience updates give us the option of creating a single application that can have multiple experiences customized to as many shows or episodes as you want. You can have all the complexity you desire for each show and switch the experience instantly to optimize the viewer's enjoyment for whatever they're watching at that specific time. I think that this is really huge. So we can just go from having to say that, all right, we can build this app for this one show, but 3 years down the road, we're going to have, if the show's going to be gone, and I'm not sure if we're going to have regained all of our investment in the application. This isn't exactly the case anymore, because now you can have one app that covers every single show that you want it to, and therefore you don't have to worry about losing all the investment that you've put into building that one application, which is a really fantastic concept. So that's my fifth and final mistake that I think that we're making, is choosing generality over having that complex, valuable, engaging, user-driven experience. All right, so I just have a quick slide about some key takeaways. Basically, just the highlights of what we talked about throughout the entire webinar. And I have one extra little tidbit. So a series of studies that I recently read about by Time Warner Media Lab showed that branded apps, which are network or program specific, are ideal for generating stronger engagement with the associated TV content, while the users of interactive apps are more likely to be focused on the app itself. So if you're using something like GetGlue, you're going to be more focused on trying to rack up the points to get whatever is free. So what you're really looking for is, if you want to really drive your return on investment, and if you really want to drive that higher level of engagement that will keep your viewers interested and happy, then you want to have that branded application that is focused specifically on the content that they're seeing on the screen and driving the interest in the story and driving the engagement and the interactivity, instead of focusing on racking up points to get a free pair of socks. So, all right. Let's see. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. And it doesn't look like we have any questions. So I will thank you for attending, and I hope to